Hamilton's shocking move to Ferrari has left a really big empty spot that Mercedes needs to fill. The fact that he left without warning made it even harder for the Mercedes team to pick the right person to replace him. But it looks like an old teammate who used to fight with Hamilton might be part of the biggest driver switching season ever, and Mercedes wouldn't have to think twice if they got the chance to hire him. So would Alonso be the right person to replace Hamilton? And more importantly, could he prove that he would be the next surprising champion for Mercedes? We're definitely seeing history happen with Hamilton's latest move to Ferrari, but this is just the beginning. While Hamilton has decided his future from 2025 with the Ferrari team, the Mercedes team has no time to be sad about losing him. They need to find someone new right away. One of the strongest names being talked about is definitely Fernando Alonso. The two-time world champion has many good reasons why he would be perfect for Mercedes. The first reason is that he'll be replacing his biggest enemy, the one he fought so hard against back in the McLaren days in 2007 and 2008. The fact that Hamilton beat his teammate as a rookie while Alonso was already a two-time world champion coming to the top. McLaren team is something the Spanish driver will never forget easily, so maybe winning a championship during this Red Bull winning time with Mercedes will heal the pain that has lasted for more than 15 years. On the other hand, Alonso is still really good at racing even at age 43. That's why people made fun of his choice to leave Alpine for Aston Martin at first. But after Aston Martin got better, it was clear that Alonso could see the future of Aston Martin in a way that most fans and experts couldn't. Now we don't need to tell you that Aston Martin is still not as good as Mercedes when it comes to pure speed. And if you put Alonso in a Mercedes car, he would be in a much better position to win races and fight for championships. Another huge thing we need to mention is that Mercedes didn't just lose a driver, they lost a brand. Hamilton's 12 years with Mercedes created so many good memories as he made friendships inside and outside the factories and helped promote the brand outside of racing. As soon as rumors came out about Hamilton leaving for Ferrari, Mercedes stock prices dropped a lot. At the same time, Ferrari stock prices went up. This just shows what kind of impact a driver like Hamilton has on a team. Even though Alonso doesn't have 7 championships like Hamilton, his fighting spirit and reputation are not to be questioned. He would add similar value to Mercedes if he managed to fix all the problems that hurt the team's performance in the past. If Mercedes hired any other driver besides Alonso, it's very likely that the driver wouldn't be able to handle the pressure that Hamilton's shoes will put on him. It only takes special talents like Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, or Leclerc, who could follow the steps that the 7-time world champion has left at Mercedes. Whether Mercedes fans like it or not, their team is now in a very tricky situation, for face the danger of falling to the middle of the pack because McLaren and Aston Martin are making huge improvements, and their superstar left the team before even testing the 2024 car on the track in Bahrain. One of the reasons he might have done that is because he has no faith that Mercedes can compete with other teams in 2024 and 2025, maybe even 2026 and beyond. So this is quite the motivation for Alonso by itself. The two-time world champion might believe that with his advice and his input on the car, he could make it work. And along with his good friend George Russell, who he was photographed partying with at a nightclub on New Year's Eve, it's safe to say that they won't have much trouble working together as a pair. But then again, Russell has stated his goals with Mercedes, which are to beat Hamilton in 2024, and I really doubt that those goals will change once Alonso joins the team. The bad news for both Russell and Alonso is that Hamilton's leaving might be permanent, so both of them would have to work their way up in helping the team build a championship-winning car for what could be the 2026 season. Then they would have to fight it out against each other. After all, Alonso made a shocking move from Alpine to Aston Martin when he didn't feel appreciated enough by the French team. And his latest comments about the development of the AMR24 might point out the fact that Aston Martin is very unlikely to make the big jump they were able to make in the 2022 winter break. This could be really important for Alonso's future because the 2024 car will be more or less the same one for the 2025 season. So if any team fails to do well in the following season, then we can expect that they will follow this same pattern in 2025 as well. Talking about the AMR24's development, Alonso has tested the car in the simulator, driving 100 out of the total 120 laps. He went on to say the most noticeable place is when you do turn 6, then you shift gears, and then you turn right to do turn 7. The steering is quite heavy and it takes a little bit of time. When you're in the simulator, focus is the main thing. You have to be so exact in all the laps you have to do and all the feedback that you're giving to the engineers. You have to repeat the same lap every single time. That exactness, that focus that you have to have there in the simulator is quite extreme, and it has to be, I think, similar to the real car, obviously. While most of the fans and the media call the heavy steering as pretending to be slow early in the season, Alonso has rarely made statements that make no sense or are just said because he feels a certain way. So it's very likely that the Aston Martin team did not meet the goals that they set for themselves in the 2023 winter break. If Aston Martin fails to make a car that could compete for race wins and podiums in the following 2 years, and Mercedes does not promote someone from within and decides to hire a driver who has a very impressive racing record, then Alonso would be the right choice for both sides. But if Alonso is not the driver that Mercedes believes would be the right replacement for Hamilton, who are the other choices? His fellow Spanish driver Sainz is the #1 choice after the two-time world champion, simply because he's the driver that Hamilton replaced at Ferrari, and he will have a lot to prove to the F1 world after his 3-year time at Ferrari. Sainz has proven to be quite a smart driver on many occasions with the Ferrari team, and his mission will be very simple: prove that the problem at Ferrari was not the driver but the management and the philosophy of the car, something he has pointed out multiple times throughout the past couple of years. If Sainz, however, chooses to build his career with Sauber and then Audi, then Mercedes won't be short of options. Alex Albon would be the next big name that could sit next to Russell. This would be the second upgrade that Mercedes would make when it comes to the Williams to Mercedes pattern, as both Russell and Albon have served their time with the Williams team and proved that they could be champions if given the right car. The only problem is that Albon is still tied to Red Bull, and the Austrian team is still dealing with his contract obligations, so it's very unlikely that they would want to give up on this driver, even though he's very unlikely to be Verstappen's teammate anytime soon. Not to mention that the marketing value he brings to the table is nowhere near comparable to that of Alonso or Sainz, although it's worth mentioning that he single-handedly carried Williams to 7th place in the Constructors' Championship, something that not even Russell was able to achieve in his time with the team. Promoting from Formula 2 directly to Formula 1, especially to Mercedes, is an option that the team might be forced to do if they plan on rebuilding and giving their academy drivers some prime time with what would be the W15. Kimi Antonelli, the current sensation who is yet to drive a full season in Formula 2 after being directly promoted from Formula 4, will have a huge year ahead of him, and the opportunity that Hamilton has left behind him is one that could rewrite the history of the young Italian driver. But then again, putting him in such competitive car with zero experience is something that Mercedes is very unlikely to do. But what they can choose to do is promote Albon and leave some development space for Antonelli at Williams, as they've done with Russell and Bottas back in the day. There are so many opportunities available for Mercedes, but the most realistic one is Alonso, because it will definitely put the team back on track the fastest, and even more importantly, it will give them the opportunity to win back a championship after the controversial 2021 finale. With this in mind, do you think that Alonso to Mercedes scenario is a realistic one? And if so, do you think that the two-time world champion would agree to it? Let us know in the comments down below.